Hi, I'm Shannon Grissom. Are you looking to ignite your creativity? Or how about be inspired by a steady stream of muses? Welcome to Painterly Life, the podcast that celebrates those who create, inspire, and innovate. So, whether you're looking to spark your next big idea, reignite your passion, or simply soak in some creative energy, this is the place for you. Painterly Life, where every guest is a new muse just for you. Welcome to the Painterly Life podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Grissom. Today's guest, Hal Raines, found clay late in life and it changed everything. From mud pies to pottery shows and Parkinson's, this is a story of shaping meaning through art. Welcome, Hal.
Thank you. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. It's been a long time.
Oh, it has been too long.
Oh, I
COVID, I
know.
think, was when we did all the our work together.
But I think of you a lot because I have a couple of your pieces, and one of them is center stage in my living room. So it's like, hi, I'm constantly saying hi to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's sweet of you.
Aw. Well, let's start with the big question. Okay, so what really drew you to ceramics in high school? What got you going there?
Okay. In high school, I thought it was nice looking, right? I mean, you know how guys are. Well, not only guys, I guess, but ladies too. Sometimes we're kind of full of ourselves when we're younger. And I had dated a girl who was a cheerleader when I was a freshman. Then I dated another one as she was like a 3-year girlfriend. And my parents thought we would get married right after senior year. Well, as eyeballs do, they tend to wander rather than appreciate what you have. So I thought, well, I'm pretty smart. I goofed off a lot and I did cut school too much, but I wanted to be in Pottery where all the cute girls were. Well, not all of them, more than I would see normally in a day in a crowd. So that's what drew me to clay initially.
Oh, that is funny. So I know you've mentioned your mom being, a skilled artist. Did she
Yeah,
influence you in your work?
my mom was really, she's one of those people who was really, I don't know, she's really kind and she cared about people. I mean, when I was in summer school as a little kid, and it was 100 years ago, there wasn't a free lunch, right? And one of the kids in summer school, I only met him during summer school, he didn't have anything to eat. So I would share my lunch with him that my mom sent, with me. And I'd come home just like ready to eat a bear. And she asked me a couple of times, "Are you okay? Why are you hungry? I've sent you a big lunch." And I explained to her that I shared it with one of the kids. So she started packing a lunch for him as well. So,
Oh,
she's just one of those really, really good people. She's a really sweet lady. Like she reminds me of you in many ways. I mean,
oh.
she's a really neat person, wonderful. So, and let me get back to your story, to your question. I mean, um, yeah, she had lots and lots of talents, and she went to an art kind of a festival sort of thing where there were seniors who helped coach young people. So she was in many ways mentored in a way that you would be by a teacher. So
Mm.
I watched her do things like painting and doodling and drawing and things, and her people looked really real. I thought that's not going to happen for me. Like stick figures with hair. So that's how that was. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, I know that you've mentioned that you never felt good enough, and I have struggled with this off and on over the years. So, how has your definition of good in art or just in life changed over the years?
Ooh, that's a toughie because I don't think that somebody, gosh, I, I I'd like to say that you grow into it, or maybe you just age into it, where you realize the things that we were concerned about initially really aren't as important as
Mm,
we thought they were. I mean,
yeah.
somebody's opinion of you when you're older doesn't hold the same weight, I guess.
Yes.
You just are more free. I remember a really good friend who was a science teacher when I was still teaching English. And I asked her one time, what's the best age? What is the best age? Because she was considerably older than me. That's bad. But she was in this. So, for what it's worth, she said, well, turning 50 for her was the best place because she, at that point, didn't care. Somebody liked her, great. If they didn't like her, great. There would be other friends in a larger circle that she had at that point. And so I thought, wow, that's really wonderful. And so when I got there, I don't know if this is good or not, but I started speaking up about things that I thought were wrong at the school I was teaching. And I became a greater advocate. I had been for the kids anyway, but I became a much more vocal advocate. Like if a kid got in trouble, I would go and intercede, if you will. Like what happened? How can we fix this? How can we keep this from happening again? So I think that's what changed my idea of good enough. I wasn't at that point Mr. Raines anymore. I was the guy that the kids sometimes called Grandpa Raines, and I got that more than I was altogether comfortable with. But that's what I mean. Your perception of yourself changes, and then you can give those changed values to the people you're with. And for me, a lot of it was the kids. So,
So has that freed up your art expression?
ooh, great question too. Yeah, I think it has because when I first started with clay, I I remember sitting down to the wheel the first time and thinking, "Oh my gosh!" See, we couldn't get on the wheel in high school. I mean, there weren't enough. So the lady, Mrs. Olson, she would not allow it. There just weren't enough to share. You could go in after school, and play if you wanted to, but I just remember thinking, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do this, but I did, and I made a lot of mess. It was fun though.
Well,
So
speaking of mess, you've talked a lot about mud pies. So, um, do you think your early play shaped what you're doing now?
yeah, my cousins and I loved my cousins so much. We would, our backyard was massive, right? And there was, I mean, unfortunately, there were some bald places back there, but that's where we would find the mud, and we would take out pie pans and whatever we could sneak out of the house, and we'd be playing, like cousins, but that was like a real life imitation. But really, we just had so much fun. We just played all the time. Every time we were together, it was dirty, and you remember the term grandma beads, where you played so hard and you get rings of dirt around your neck. that's that's what I had. Almost every time I see them, just my mom would go scrub yourself. Golly, you got grandma beads. I go, sorry, but yeah, it was
So,
fun.
did you always do pottery? Straight through all your life? Did you have any gaps? How did that evolve? Or did you
Ooh,
have like a pivotal moment after a gap? Or
yeah. Okay, so let's skip to high school. Okay, and then I don't remember how long I was in pottery, but I would think it was probably a couple of years for electives. And then I left high school, and I didn't have any until, gosh, let me see, I was probably 62 or 63. One of my wife's really good friends, teaching buddies, was taking pottery classes, and she had made some pieces that she was particularly proud of, and she had entered them into a show, and so we were invited. So we went to this one class. Well, again, it was a show, and the teacher was there. Oh my gosh, he's a crazy crazy guy. Fun. His dad was a pastor, probably still is, but his hair is white like yours. I love the white hair on Craig, and he was a big mischievous guy that he was such a fun person that you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. You hope it wasn't something that would cut you emotionally, but he was funny, and so you just tended to take whatever he had, and then you'd smack him with something later if you thought about it. But I knew when I first met. I mean, I knew Becky forever, but when I was there and I went to that show and I heard Craig, and I listened to his energy, I thought, oh, that clock. I forgot to stop the clock.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's punctuating your point.
Oh, yes. But he was so funny, so funny. I just knew no matter what, I had to get to know him some way, somehow. And he wasn't in my world at that point. So I figured, I guess I'm going to have to learn something about clay. And so I signed up for the class. And I have no regrets. He was wonderful.
So what did you feel the first time you sat down at the wheel? Or was that the first time you sat down at the wheel?
Well, you mean when I started class with Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time I had been at the wheel, and my stuff was, I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, you're such a natural." And I'm thinking, you guys are lying to me. Stop lying. These are horrible. And they just, when, and for me, they were just like, okay, this is kind of like dirt at home, playing with the cousins kind of thing. Except obviously we didn't have anything to spin them. But I learned to, get the clay to lift pretty easily. And then coning up, that was, not a big deal either. I learned that pretty quickly as well. So my first little pots, they really, truly weren't very big. And I'm sure they were really fat, like donuts, maybe really chubby donuts. But that's, when I fired them and all that stuff, everybody, again, going on about, oh, how this, and I'm thinking, no, I can't take these home. These are not even dog bowl quality. So I threw them away. Much to the distress of everybody else. I chucked them. So,
you know what? I throw workout regularly. There some because some because the energy's just nasty. I was maybe just not in a good place when I started, and so I need to let that go. Some of them just don't always work out. And right. And I know, I've had people call me before you throw it out. And I think, no, if I'm throwing it out, it needs to be gone. It needs to be gone.
Right.
So you've had a lot of challenges through the years, and then you were diagnosed with Parkinson's. How has that changed your art? How is that woven in? I mean, you're still creating. You totally inspire me. How did this change what you're doing?
Wow. Well, thank you. First off, I'm going to try really hard not to cry, because you touched on a point really tender to me, and I will just say that I like to carve. I truly love the way carved pieces look. I did some decorating with things that are almost like cake frosting, except it was thinner, and you could, doodle and put interesting things around some of the artwork to give it emphasis, and shading. But I find myself trying to do more with brushes, and instead of basically being able to use oh my gosh, like what kind of brush is it? They're long. They have the long bristles. It's almost like they would use for sign making. They're linky bristles. You know what I'm talking about, right? And you just get the paint and you just kind of drag it across. Well, that's what I'm finding to be more useful at this point, except I obviously can't hold it with one hand because the trimmers are crazy. So I found ways to lean the hands against the bowl for the wheel, and when I move something, it's like two hands against the bowl and just kind of swooshing it around. So I get more of a flow. It's kind of a fluid motion rather than a line that's really jiggly. So there was a video that I really feel compelled to tell you about. I was very lucky to find it, or it maybe found me. I don't know if fate sometimes has ways of doing that for you, but it's a a video called Embrace the Shake, and SHAKE, like, like if you hand a trimmer or whatever. And
Okay.
it's about a guy who did pointillism. You know what pointillism is, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he was doing pointillism, and he was great. Oh my gosh, his pieces are exquisite. But he developed this really bad trimmer, and he could not. He couldn't paint like he was before. So his life completely switched directions. I mean, it was an absolute 180 from where he was before. And he found ways to incorporate using much bigger pieces so he could still get a similar look. And then his way changed again, and so he started using candles, and then he layered them over one another. And the paintings and the work that he did, much of it was never even put together until he assembled the pieces and got the layers like he did with the candles. But if you get a chance, and anybody who struggles with things related to movement disorder, oh my goodness. If you can just, and it's right there, it's a TED Talk. So it's easy to find it on YouTube. But wow, it it gave me hope that I didn't have. I really honestly wasn't sure where I was going to end up, or how it was going to work in my life. So
Wow.
love
That's
it.
awesome. I will find that
Thank
video and put it in the show notes so that people can appreciate that and watch that.
you. Well, thank you.
Um, so, in what ways has working with clay or creating your art helped you through all of this?
Okay. Woo. Okay. I'm lucky in this way that I have people who truly care. We all are fortunate if we have um, a cadre of buddies who look out for us, and that we trust enough for them to be honest with us without getting offended. And one of my friends, Don Bardos, lives in one of the Dakotas, and he'll see my work, and he's a retired professor himself, and he will say something like, "This is really you. I can see that you're struggling with Parkinson's, and this doesn't look like your work." Um, in fact, he said that about a piece that I think I maybe sent you pictures of. It's yellow and pink, or maybe it'll turn red when it's fired, but it's got lines in it, and there are colored blocks on it and stuff. And Dan could see, having known me for a while, he could see that it really truly wasn't reflective of me, and he could see, based on the lines, and how they weren't really crisp, that yeah, I'm struggling. And he said, this is more like you. This is more what you're going to be able to do working with Parkinson's. So he has helped me channel that energy and move it in a direction that feels right. So, and that's,
God, that's great to have that support.
yeah, you need those
Wow.
people. You just people that I feel very fortunate to have as part of my world.
Well,
So
I've heard you talk. You mentioned that the clay people are incredibly supportive. Can you talk
yeah.
about that? I mean,
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the people that I'm part of, that sounds weird, but we're all like, I don't know, twins or cousins, going back to the cousin analogy. There's one that I refer to as my big sister. Her name's Karen. And then there's one we're all just goofballs together. And we tease each other about our work, and, what I would like to do with their work and what they would like to do with mine. And I think if we just created a bunch of crazy pots and cut pieces off and stuck them together to make something really odd and weird, it would be really fun to do. But they're not into that idea as much as I am. So um, we just are very supportive when somebody's going through something like, I don't want to bring up politics, but one of my friends is really struggling at this point, and she's in the pottery class with me, um, or with us collectively. And after class the other day, we all got together for a big group hug and talked about what was going on and what we could do if something doesn't go particularly well with her, and how we would either take her something or take her someplace, or just anything we could do to help one another to get through a time, that's tough. We have a lady who recently lost her dad. And at this point now, one of the things she's doing to work through the grief is for her to make his funeral urn, So it's just God, what a great group of people. I couldn't ask for a better bunch of friends, just truly could not. That I feel like, if you believe in God, I believe that fate has brought us together. So that's just how I see it. I've been very fortunate.
You have, and I find that that artists, creatives of any genre, go deeper. Their relationships are not just surface level. So with that, you do get the support because it's
right,
the whole person.
Right.
So how do you stay motivated as your disease progresses? What is it, through the people that what are tools that you use that would help other people stay motivated as they go through challenges?
That is probably one of the most difficult things to face, having been one of those individuals to walk through the valley. And it does feel like a valley, like you're really truly walking through this deep place and you're not sure how you're going to get to the other side, because either the chasm feels too big or it's too deep. You're surely not jumping over that thing. You just got to walk through. And it's knowing that if I can get to a place where I can release the anxiety, I'm free again. So whatever this stuff looks like, if it feels problematic and I just can push, like I made a plate the other day. And when I was making this plate, I was thinking, I don't know what this is going to look like. It could look crazy. And when it came out of the kiln, it was flat, like a cake plate, right? And it was one of those pieces that you think, I need to throw this away. And the other people in the studio went, no, this is perfect. And one of the gals who does the firing came in and she said, oh, I want that for sushi. I'm like, take it, enjoy it. So yeah, you just kind of let the stuff bounce, if it's not a good thing, you just kind of, okay. Like we were talking about throwing stuff.
Yeah.
And once in a while, if it's a piece that you're not embarrassed about, it's got your name on it.
Yeah.
And that can be a gift rather than me breaking one. So,
yes.
No, my name's on this. No, it's too bad.
Yeah.
So it's, kind of what I do.
Well, that's one of the things that I've learned over time, is that just because I'm thinking it's not up to par, it's one of those things where I can't believe everything I think.
Yes.
And there really is a lid for every pot. So there might be somebody that's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I love it. So I've learned that it's back to what you said. If I'm not feeling bad about it, then maybe hold off on throwing it away because
Yes.
there might be somebody, just because it's not my cup of tea doesn't mean that somebody else might not love it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So good point.
Looking back, what would you say to your younger self? Let's go back to the maybe the high school person who didn't think they were good enough. What would you say to your younger self about that?
I'd say probably don't stay in the pottery class too long. There are cute girls everywhere. Go find one. Don't go to pottery right now. That's what I'd say. There are other blessings in your life if you look for them, but yeah, it didn't have to be in pottery.
When people experience your work, what do you hope they take away from it? What do you hope they see or feel from it?
Oh, I love that question. Wow, that's a good one. Okay. So for me, I tell everybody to pick up the pieces. They have to experience it. And I don't think that something as intimate as clay or something like a painting, there's part of your soul in there.
Mm-hmm.
Biblically, it talks about we're clay for the master's hand, and that's a tough concept for some people to grasp, but it makes perfect sense to me because
Yes.
I'm in that situation, the master. And I kind of wait for the clay to talk to me when I'm working. So I think every piece that I do, I try to hear where that clay, what it needs to do or what it wants to do. There are times when I'll sketch something out and like, okay, I know what this should look like. But most of the time, I just go and whatever feels right intuitively, that's what I'll do. And
Mm.
there are times when I make a piece like I made one that was a big salad bowl, and even as I was making it and I was carving it and I was putting things in there about Judaism, one of my really good friends came to mind, who is anyway. I didn't need to go into all that detail, but I knew as soon as I made that bowl, it was not mine. It wasn't mine to sell. I needed to gift it, and that's what I did.
Mm.
I called her and I said, "Look, I have a bowl for you. Um, it's only for you." Um, and that's and she really enjoyed it. She just she was using it, and then she thought, "Oh, this is too unique. I need to put it on some places." Like, no, use it. If you break it, okay, it's not a big thing. I'll make another one for you, or something. It's just something to replace it. But I hope when people pick up my pieces, they like the weight, they like the feel of the clay. I use different kinds of clay, so they have they're different colors. Some of them have speckles. Others, I like porcelain. But porcelain is a bear to work with, just simply because it feels like pudding. It's tough when you first take it out of the bag, then you move it a little bit, it just feels like pudding. So I think that that's part of the allure for clay too, is that there are some clay bodies, just like with kids, right? I mean, you've seen kids that have been in the grocery store and they're like, oh, what an adorable little child. And then you go down the next aisle and there's some kid screeching. You go, that's like clay. Boy, going back to clay. Yes, sorry. Yeah. So
So,
that's
is
a,
it fair to say that over the years you've become more adept at listening to your pieces and letting them tell you what to do rather than imposing your will on them?
yes. The guy who I was mentioning initially, you remember I told you about Craig, the guy with the crazy, wonderful hair, white hair, and fun, fun, fun. When he passed, that took such a big chunk of the hearts out of all of our potters who worked really closely with him. And I will say it was hard for me to overcome his loss. But his wife, Shirley, knew that Craig and I were close. And she allowed me to purchase his wheel that he used all the time. And she gave me his studio chair and a torch that he used all the time when the piece
Wow.
would get too soft. So I would use his wheel and his chair and his torch when I needed it. And I would kind of channel his energy. Like, that sounds nutty for somebody out
Not to
there to
me.
go, oh my. But I would sit in the chair and I would think, what would Craig do with this clay? I mean,
Hmm.
he's still at this point, even though he's gone and I've still continued to work, his work is still just gorgeous. In fact, if you look on eBay, almost anytime there are 5 to 7 pieces of his work online. Craig Easter. Yeah, just like the holiday Easter.
Okay, I'll look them up.
Gorgeous stuff.
Put a link to that as well.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just kind of, at this point now, I trust my own ability to follow where the clay is trying to lead me.
Hmm.
Um, and if I'm in class with the other crazy Potter friends, they'll say, wow, that looks like, and I'll do the same to them. And so we find ourselves walking in somebody else's footsteps, you know.
Yes.
And that's fun too, because they can see things that we can't always.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I get blind after a while. I'll put it away somewhere, but then I have a group of friends that I will email a piece to and say, hey, what am I missing? Because I can't see it anymore. And it's very helpful.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So if clay could talk back to you, what do you think it would say?
It would say, that's smart of you to say, don't stay in clay class when the girls are there. That's the first thing clay would say. The second one was, whatever you're doing, whatever the journey is, whatever the path that you're walking, slow down. Slow down enough to take it in. Look at the water after a rain, look at the water in the street, look at the water in the gutter. There's something you can take away from every part, even if you just look at it as part of the cycle of life. There's something so beautiful about every phase of it. Like Craig's biggest influence was Yosemite. Most everything he did had pieces of Yosemite in it. Now, he wasn't carving Yosemite, but the pieces used the colors of the mosses and the colors of the redwoods. And he put porcelain on a lot of the areas, and then would carve into those, representing the footprints of different natural animals. And he used fire. He used reduction firing for his glazes. So there was a quality of matte finish with some runs on them. Oh my Lord, they were absolutely beautiful pieces, which is why they're very expensive. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them are quite expensive. So I'm fortunate to have several of his pieces, but my goodness, I'm fortunate. Again, I'll go back to I'm fortunate that I found him, or that he found me, but that Shirley, his wife, could see that we had this goofball bond. I keep saying goofball because you have to be able to laugh at yourself, and when you make a mistake, you got to find the humor in that too. You can't just be all mullygrubs about it. No, it's like, okay, so I learned something. It might have been painful, but that's what I tell my son too. The most difficult things are the things you're going to learn the most from.
Yeah.
So it's just what I know.
I remember them when they're painful. And then I work to shift to get out of there. So yeah, it's it's good. So where can people find your work? Where can they find you online?
I do post a lot of stuff on Hal Raines Pottery.
Okay.
That's on Facebook.
Well, you've been incredibly insightful and inspiring, and thank you for being here, Hal.
Also, Joy, I'm so glad to see you. Said Rockland doesn't even have a clue how much of a wonderful lady you are.
Aw, thank you. I have not been involved in the art community. My caregiving duties have led me to be housebound pretty much for a while, but I'm starting to get out now. So I will start to meet other artists, and that's going to be good.
Yes.
So, but that's the beauty of this show. I get to talk to people in depth about their work, and I get inspired, and I get to share what they're doing. So it's really cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. So that's a wrap. Thank you for watching Painterly Life. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share so that I can make more of these. We'll see you next time.